I just found what I was about to go looking for. 1 second. Coffee. Why is it whenever I want to get anything done, nothing works? Alright, how are you all doing? That doesn't actually relate to anything that I have on my mind right now. It just seems to be a thing. You plugged in an extra video device and now all of your settings have decided to go right out the window. Again, not relevant to what it is I want to say, but... I'm going to need more than that 1 cup. I promise you. I found myself in some really weird conversations today. Not weird. Interesting. Enough to get the old brain a ticking over. Long story short, it's all in the details. Okay? Excuse me, what do you mean? What do you mean it's all in the details? The difference between being a scrub and an expert. It's all in the details. The difference between someone who's like, you know, does it for a bit of a laugh versus up there, likely, not always true though, in the details. The bit that makes you the kind of the rank amateur to the master craftsman is all in those little details. So, for some reason, I got involved in a conversation about model craft. You know, like trees for model railways, grass, almost like miniature set building. Miniatures, not quite miniatures. I don't know, like whatever it is. That thing where people spend a lot of time making little pieces to go on a bigger thing to make it look like a real thing that isn't really a real thing. It's that. I got into a conversation about it, and really, initially you're like, well, it's a bit of this and a bit of that, and you smush it together in a little bit more work, and you've got something that looks relatively close to the thing that you are trying to make. But it's so much more than that. When the conversation started to roll on, it went from, well, we use this and this because it gives this kind of effect. It then went to chemistry, physics, and a bunch of other little bits and bobs. And it was really, really neat. Like, why do they use this as opposed to that? Why is it that you'll literally splosh this everywhere, but not that? I like the why of things. I don't care how you do it. I like to know why you've done it the way you've done it. So even though I'm not particularly into the whole idea of model crafts, or what the hell ever it's called, it was interesting to find out the process. Because I always say to people, like, you know, it doesn't matter what you're into. Even if it doesn't seem like anyone else is into it to start with, do it and keep doing it and aim to be the best you can possibly be at the thing that you really like. Whether that be, you know, making videos, writing music, drawing, making sandwiches, whatever it is. Because eventually, if you keep doing it and you get good enough at it, people will possibly notice that you have that gift. You've put in the work to discover those extra details to make your stuff something that people need or people want. There are chances, though, that you might not, and that there's just going to be some scrub that does something stupid, like just runs up to his mate and punches him in the face, and all of a sudden your stuff has been completely overshadowed. I mean, I know people that can literally bang out a full-blown piece of art in a day or in an afternoon and have absolutely no confidence in themselves. You could say, I want this and this and this, and in like nothing else, just like do something with it, or you'll give them a random word and bam, there's the thing. They have no confidence. And then you see some other random muppet that has done something completely dull, completely repetitive, completely not interesting, and all of a sudden they've blown up. That just seems to be the way the world works. But all these little details turning such what you would imagine to be incredibly simple things into things far more complex. The simple becomes, I don't know. I mean, that's just it. The simple becomes complicated. It becomes so much more complex, so much more diverse, so much more interesting. You look at it and you think, oh, that's a model railway. And then you look at how, we're not doing model railways, but I'm just like using that as an example. Well, this is how someone did that. That's why someone did this. This is done to XYZ scale using XYZ materials because of... And then it got me thinking, because for some reason then after that, a TV show comes on about railway building, model railway building. And it's like, oh, well, there's this old bloke from, the 70s or the 80s talking about building these railways. And he's talking about basic electronics. And I'm thinking to myself, but this is really super simple basic stuff. And reminds me that there used to be a time when we used to be proud to make things with our hands. We used to like learning those little details. We used to like to learn to draw. We used to like to learn to engineer random things, create random things. And yet now we seem really proud to not be able to boil water. I literally know people who are really proud that they can't cook. Yet once upon a time, there was a time when everyone wanted to learn to cook. Everyone wanted to learn to do basic electronics. I know people these days. So there was a time when it was like, well, hey, look, here's how you build a thing, and here's a soldering iron, and you do this, and you make that, and you put it together, and this happens. But don't be scared, because you can't really break it. Worst case scenario is, and then you get what I'm saying. Like they would actually tell you it's nothing to be scared of, and yet now, for some reason, the idea of holding a soldering iron is terrifying. But what if I break it? You won't. Not the soldering iron, but the thing that you're sticking together. Like, chances of you breaking that are very, very slim. The circuit that you're building is very, very simple. But for some reason, we've now become scared of basic things. We've lost the desire to pull in those details. Even the simplest thing seems like witchcraft. And I thought that was interesting. I just thought it was really weird that we've let go of so much stuff over literally my lifetime, really. 30, 40 years. There was an entire generation in my country that learnt how to program. And then the guys behind the Raspberry Pi, they were like, yeah, once upon a time we had people who used to know how to code, and it was fantastic. The old bedroom coders from the Commodore 64, ZX Spectrum kind of days. The what was it? The Trash 8, which was I can't remember what it was called now. The other one, the TRS-80, which was the Dragon something. I don't know. But all these people who were learning to code in BASIC all end up going to university. They're not scared of computers at all. They learn to do really fantastic stuff, and eventually that went away. We got scared of it again. Once upon a time it was magical and you wanted to learn about it. Then it became scary. Now no one knows about it. Then the guys who founded the Raspberry Pi Foundation are like, how come we've got a bunch of people coming to university to do things, but they're all thick? It's all in the details. It's like a chef, what's the difference between me making a cheeseburger and some really top-class geezer or lassie making a really rad cheeseburger? Because theirs is going to taste better. It's literally all in the details. How long to prep, how to prep, what is the best way to prep. I don't know all these things, so I just put it in an oven and burn it. Because that's what food prep is, right? You take the thing you want, you put it in the oven until it smells all right, and then bam, it's done. But there are so many more different things that you can do and learn to make things better, easier. I think that's probably actually another thing. We've gotten too used. We want everything to be easy. We want everything to have a single button solution. We're not willing to learn the hard way anymore. If it seems even remotely challenging, we don't want to learn. We don't want to go deeper into the details. I see so many people these days just pick up and quit. If it's like a guitar or something, if they haven't instantly mastered a song within 3 seconds of picking up the guitar, they don't want to play anymore. When did we get scared of details? When did we get scared of learning? That wasn't actually going to be the topic of this video, but I'm actually now genuinely curious. Has anyone else noticed that we are actually scared in some cases of learning? We're scared of failure, which kind of ties into one of the first videos I made here. That people, or in recent history this year, I made a video sound like, you know, you've got to get out there and do stuff, because if you don't get anywhere. But I see it so much now that people are so scared of failing, they don't even start. Now, when did it become scary to hold a soldering iron? You know, what's the worst that could happen other than you burn yourself? Or you break a really cheap component? Which, chances are, you haven't actually broken it anyway. Same with woodwork. When did woodwork become scary? Why? I mean, woodworking is actually a bit more scary to me than electronics, because that's destructive. Whereas electronics, there's very little I can stuff up in electronics, other than maybe myself. Electrocution can't be all that bad, right? But I mean, I like I said, I get woodworking a bit more because it's destructive. Cooking, when you do something wrong in cooking, you could potentially really stuff something up. But like electronics, programming, what are you going to break? Really? Model building. Why did we stop doing, like, why? Because people would build things. They'd craft things. They'd learn all these different skills, all these different things through these little hobbies. Yeah, not how I want that one to come out. Not how I want this to come out. I just literally wanted to say that when you start, you know nothing, and you cobble something together and it looks alright. And then over time, you learn those fine little skills. You pick out those fine little details until you become, you know, a master at it. And that people, you know, most people would just go, that's witchcraft. And then there are other people who would be like, you know, the people who are also into that craft go, yeah, I see, I know how you did that. I've got an idea of how that came together. And if you're really, really good at it, they're like, oh, blimey, how the hell did you do that? I've never seen that done like that before. How did that work? You know, when the thing that used to be impossible becomes possible because of something new that's been developed. You know, a new technique records have been broken, and, you know, we've managed to bend reality that little way to make that thing possible. And sorry, I'm going off now, but such a random conversation. And like I say, the old boy in the TV show about the models, it was so interesting to me. It's like, yeah, just get your soldering iron and you take the thing and you put it there and you do the and that's why you do that, and try to make sure that you put all these things on a common ground to do all of this because blah 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 blah. And they broke it down. I was like, why don't we do that stuff anymore? I'm not talking about just like building models and stuff. I'm just saying, like, why have we become so scared of basic things? Why are the really basic things now considered really, really advanced, even though they're the entry stuff? And why is it now that we also we have this crazy thing about, here's the beginner bit, here's the middle bit, and there's the super advanced stuff? Why is it we seem to miss the beginner bit? We instantly seem to think that we're beyond, if we have got the confidence to try, to go for it, we seem to think that we're too good to learn from the beginning. I don't get it. I don't get it. And then we set ourselves up for failure. Why do we do that? When did that become a thing? Why do we stop having these crazy old gurus these angelic women and these crazy bearded gentlemen with their ties and stuff on TV. The women didn't wear ties, but you know what I mean. They'd dress up smart like they were going to church or something on the telly, and they'd talk to you like they were making you, the brain goes into like, yeah, good call, solid groove. And now we just watch people happy slap each other in cat videos. We're a just a weird bunch. And I'm talking fluff for about 2 years. So I'm heading off. Have you ever looked at something and thought it was really basic? And then wondered why no one else knows how to do it? Have you ever thought to yourself, because I've been in computers for quite some time now. I've been doing computing for a long time. Wondering to myself, why is it these people don't know that? That's obvious. But obviously you have to, because I've been doing it for so long, something is obvious to me. But to other people it's not. You have to kind of rewind back to where you were at the start. Do you ever do that too? Where you instantly assume that everyone should know what you know, even though they've never done it before? You know, those subtle techniques you do when you're drawing? Those subtle brush strokes that turn your thing from a casual sketch to a masterpiece? Do you forget that not everyone knows how to do that? Do you ever wonder how to teach that? The subtleties. And the things that for some reason we're proud to not be able to do. Right, I'm off. Because I've rabbited on and this wasn't what I wanted to say, but it's done now. Hope I'll see you all in the next one. So why do we seem to think we need to be able to play guitar solos right off the bat? When we have no idea about chords, scales. Fuck, man, I can barely even remember what the 5th string on a guitar is. On a 6th string. Just so you know. It's B, before anyone says it. Just always forget. Don't know how I always forget the B string. Everyone remembers the G string. Maybe it's because on a bass you only have 4 strings, traditionally. So that 5th string just floats away. Going off on another topic. See ya.